Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where we currently have our information that we need mostly to determine if we are going off of the map or not. So the first thing we need to know is what direction are we going, right? So one thing to note is that we have this laid out internally as if it's a square grid, but it's not a square grid. So okay, here, let me just play this, and we're going to pause this basically instantly and not let it load all the way because we don't need to. Okay, so I'm going to pause this, and here's the thing. So say we are looking at this hex. This hex is in row 3, so it's J3 and it's I3. So this hex is internally 3-3. Now, if we're going down, we'd be going down to 2-3. That's easy enough. If we're going up, we'd be going up to 4-3, correct? Because 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we'd be going up to 4-3 right here. Or technically this is 0, so we're in 2-2 here. And then this would be 2-3 because X, Y. So yeah, this up and down is easy enough. That's just adding I. So we need to go ahead and determine if we're going off the map. And to do that, we're going to need a switch statement. And we are going to be switching the same thing here. So new building.location.building hex. We're going to need to put up a bunch of cases. So case, I believe 10 is the first one. Yep, case 10, break. Case 15, break. Case 21, break. Case, not Brecca, break. There we go. Case 26, break. Case 32, break. And case 37, break. Okay. So, if we are looking to go off the map, we need to determine that. And let's go ahead and stop this, because we don't need this playing anymore. As soon as it compiles up. There we go. Okay. And number 21 here is the up-facing one. That's the case down here, right? Yes. Map hex 21 is the up one. And it connects with hex 37. Yep. Okay. So map hex 21 is the one that goes up. This hex goes up. That is to say, map I J plus 1. And then 37 is the same thing, but it goes down. Map I, J minus 1. The other two are going to be potentially slightly more complicated, because, for example, we've got... So, it's hard to show in this hex-shaped glob of hexes. So if we run this and instantly pause it, I'll be able to show you a bit more of what I'm talking about here. So if we're in this hex, say, and we're trying to go to this hex is in position 2, because it's in this row, position, row 2, or rather, yeah, row 2. It's in row 2, column 2. It's 0 indexed, though, so this is actually 1, 1. This is 0, 0, this is 1, 1. So when we're going this way, it's x plus 1, y plus 1. Okay, so that direction is this guy. So that's 15. So 15 is this hex goes positive, positive, diagonal, map I plus 1, j plus 1. And the same thing goes for, I believe this is 32. Is that correct? Yes. So that's negative diagonal. So map minus, or map I minus 1 and j minus 1. Which would mean, by process of elimination, that the others are I plus 1 and negative plus 1 respectively. So let's go ahead and verify that. I'm 100% certain that that's the case, but I just want to be absolutely certain. So we're here, and we're going this way. We are currently... Actually, that's not the case. That is not necessarily the case. This is actually I plus 1. This is not. This jumps lines. This does not. But in this case, it doesn't. This is actually more complicated than I was letting on. Okay. This is not true. This depends on whether it's an even or odd, doesn't it? Yeah, because we have these alternating between up and down positions, essentially. We need to determine if we are in an up position or a down position. So, essentially, if we're here or if we're here. And how do we do that? Well, there are a couple of ways we could go about doing this. But we definitely need to be determining that, because like I said, currently if we go this way, that's just I minus 1. If we go this way, that's just j plus 1, or rather I plus 1. But if we go this way, that's a diagonal route, technically, which would be I plus 1, j minus 1. And then if we go this way, that's I minus 1, j minus 1. However, if we're in an up area like this, it's actually inverted. So if we go over here, this one here would just be I plus 1, this one would be I minus 1, but up here we would have to do j increments, because we're going to a different row. And then we would also have to do I and j plus 1 and minus 1. So we need to determine whether we need to determine whether we are an up hex or down hex. And what's the easiest way to do that? Well, let's take 1.732 minus 0.866. Okay, so that is exactly half. I think what we can do is we can say bool up hex, and then we will assign that in a moment. The best way to do this, I think, would be to check the next hex over. So we need to get map I plus 1, j plus 1, if we're not at the far edge. So we need to do an if statement here. If, and we need to get our hex manager, or rather just manager. Yep. If manager.map, we don't have direct access to the map. We can get world hex by index, but we don't want to actually do that. We don't have access to the map, is that correct? Yeah, this is private. Why is this private? Let's make it public for now, so that we can directly access it. If manager.map .count -1, and then we want to determine our I location. Don't want to do an index of call because that's very slow. Okay, So we need to determine our X location and our Y location. We could do that up here when we create the hex. And have this be like a hide in inspector int x y, and then have the hex manager pass in I and j when it creates it. So right here would be where we would do that. Hex script.x equals I, and then hex script.y equals j. So that way it automatically knows it without having to look it up. We'll go ahead and make this be public so that it can do that. Okay. So if manager.map.count -1, if we are equal to it, so if x equals this, then we need to check -1. Otherwise, we need to check +1. Right? Or we can just compare against 0, because we know that 0 is always going to be an up hex, right? Let's verify that. I just want to comment this out so that we can go ahead and run this real fast and verify that theory. We can just compare it against the 0 of its row. Or, yeah, the 0 of its row. Yeah, that's always an up hex. That'll make things so much easier. Technically, we don't even need the x and y anymore then, if we're going to do it that way. So let's go ahead and pop in here, get rid of that. That's data we don't need, so we don't want to keep that around. We're already pretty high up in the memory usage. Okay, so bool up hex equals, we can just set it right here. Up hex equals if, or rather, just up hex equals, in parentheses, we want this to be manager.map, and I want this to be map y, essentially. So we do actually need to know where we are, right? We actually do. We actually do need that. I'm going to go ahead and put that back, just with Control Z's. Okay. So there's the XY back, and then in the hex manager, we'll go ahead and put that back. Where is this? Okay. Bool up hex equals manager.map, and we want this to be, let's see, this is the X position, so we want this to be 0, although this is actually rows, right? No, I think, am I thinking about this wrong? How did we create this? Let's see, in the hex manager, we want to do that. Okay, 1.5f times I times hex width, 2f times j times hex height plus reposition. Okay. Okay, so I is horizontal, j is vertical. I'm thinking of this correctly. Good. So, we want to be checking the list that we are in. So we do want this to be map X. And then we want position 0 in that list. Because this is essentially a list of rows. So we want position 0 in row X. If that equals, if that dot transform dot position dot, and I believe this is on the z-axis. Yes, indeed it is. Dot z equals transform dot position dot z. And that would then be, if this is true, we are in up hex. If it's false, we are a down hex. Okay. So these are still easy enough. We can go ahead and implement those, but I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here, and we will finish this up next episode. See you all then.